Alrighty, we're going to clear up a couple things on the Gold Monster this morning. I've been getting a lot of people asking me and a lot of requests. Number one, to show the best way to put the wire up the shaft. And as you can see on this one, I got a little loop down here that keeps it from moving so much. And the wire is securely fastened with Velcro and these little bungee guys all the way up to where it goes into my cover. And that keeps the wire from moving. So what happens when the wire moves with a very sensitive detector? Anybody know? Well, let me tell you, there's metal inside here. It's wire. And once you've balanced your machine properly, it's also balanced to the wire above it. You can hear both bottom and top of a coil. So if this is able to move around excessively, it's going to give you false signals. Simple as that. Okay. Turn on the Gold Monster. A lot of people are confused on that as well. You hold it pretty much out like this. And hopefully you'll be able to hear all this. I got the volume all the way up. Turn it on and you wait for it to beep. And what it's now done is taken care of most electromagnetic interference that you might encounter out here. Okay, and that can be a real pain in the butt when you're trying to detect. Alright, we're going to go into the ground balance part now. The ground balance part is where a lot of confusion seems to be out there. I've had people tell me that you don't have to ground balance in one setting or the other. I've had people tell me that you don't have to ground balance unless you're in auto. My friends, you have to ground balance this machine no matter what sensitivity setting that you're in. Okay? And we're going to start out right now, and I'm going to call them clicks because we got a series of clicks. I don't know if you can see it real well through my cover here, but this is a sensitivity over on this side. And it starts at 0 and goes all the way up. And sensitivity here, pointing on the wrong side there. This is the volume, this is your sensitivity, and this is shallow or deep. Deep, shallow. I hunt in deep probably 90% of the time. Okay, and your sensitivity up and down with this button. Okay, we're going to go all the way up to auto 1, which is the first time the center here is going to black out. Right there. Okay, now we're going to ground balance this machine. Okay, ground balance pretty quick here. The ground's not too bad. I'm sure you heard that. As you move along and stuff, it's a target right there, a piece of a can. I can see it. And you got to keep the machine balanced. But in auto, the machine's going to help you keep it balanced. It's going to work pretty hard to keep itself balanced. But if you hold still for any period of time, listen, we're a little bit back out of balance. Okay, so we got it back in balance and we're ready to hunt. Auto 2 is the next click up. The center's still darkened. Now this one's a little harder. It's more sensitive and it's a little harder to balance in a lot of areas. And here it's struggling a little bit here. You can hear it. That's a little bit too much noise for me as I'm swinging along. You can hear it's unstable. Okay, and when we talk about ground balance and sensitivity, they work hand in hand. If your machine is set up too sensitive, it's not going to ground balance properly. No matter what you do, you're going to struggle with it. Sensitivity is not putting more power in the ground. A lot of people think the more higher you turn it up, the more power you're putting out. Well, when these machines come out of the factory, they're set at whatever they're set at. This one's set at 45 kilohertz and with a microprocessor. Okay, it cannot put out any physical more by adjusting the sensitivity on this. All you're doing is adjusting the gain, not you're not putting out. Okay, it's not TX, which is transmit. That would be more power going out. It's RX gain, which is receive. Okay, so what you want your machine to be able to do is receive signals from the ground after you've theoretically got it invisible with a good ground balance the best it possibly can. And to be able to do that, you have to have the machine stable. Okay, like I said, right here it's not stable, so I would probably go down and hunt in auto 1 here because I can keep a stable. I can keep a stable machine here. Hot rock. I can actually balance that out. Okay. As you back off into the manual settings, there's some confusion here. I've had people tell me that in the manual settings that you don't have to ground balance and whatnot, and it's just simply confusion. And we've got 2 modes on this machine. I'll go into the second mode here real quick too. Okay, we're going to back off, and now we're at 9 clicks, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clicks. This is the hottest setting on the machine. It's 1 click back from auto. But like in auto 2, it has trouble. It's noisy. It's all over the place. That's because this sensitivity setting is too high for this ground. Okay, so we're going to go back a click. Okay, still a little bit of noise, but it's a lot better than it was. Now we're going to go back to 8 clicks. Ground balance. You have to ground balance in both manual and auto, period. Okay, we're balanced in 8, and we're able to hunt in 8. That's a piece of tin right there. Okay, the machine's balanced and able to hunt. As long as I move slowly, it's nice and stable. It's still going to hear some hot rocks and whatnot. In this case, I would probably hunt in auto 1 because I'm able to get a balance there. And I like the way the machine runs, and it's very sensitive in auto 1. And I don't have to work as hard to keep it balanced. In some places, the auto settings just will not work. I've had friends from Australia say there's just no way they can use either of the auto settings. There's that piece of tin again. Either of the auto settings. And in those cases, you just got to keep backing off that manual 1 click at a time until you get it to work properly. The problem is if you go too far back and get the machine too smooth, you're also going to lose sensitivity and depth. Okay, so you're doing a fine line between getting the machine to where it'll run smoothly and still give you great signals, but you don't want it to run too smoothly. So when you get to the spot where you can barely keep it in balance and you're still struggling a little bit and it's making too much noise on every little rock and every little thing, go back 1 click from that, and that's where you're going to want to hunt. And it's pretty much as simple as that. Okay, we've got another setting on this machine, and this is where part of the confusion comes from. When you go into shallow, which is the center button here, when you go into shallow instead of deep, you're also now in discriminate. Okay, remember those pieces of tin we just heard. All right. Now in this setting, ground balancing is pretty much not an issue. The machine takes care of it by itself. It's not going to hear the hot rocks. It's not going to hear the iron or tin in the ground. And you also notice it's got a different sound now. It's beeping instead of giving you that zip zip or whop whop sound. Okay, when it beeps a little bit, you ground balance it. As you move along, it's going to ignore. I'm going over a piece of iron right now. It gave me one little beep on it as it's trying to figure out what it is, but the processor's already figured out that that's not a good target. And I don't like that myself. I don't hunt in this setting in deep dirt. I don't use this setting at all unless I'm in an area of real shallow ground with so many hot rocks or so much trash that I can't hunt any other way. It's a last-ditch effort to hunt an area, in my opinion. You lose a lot of depth and sensitivity when you're in this setting on this machine. But it will hunt through trash, and it will hunt through other garbage. And I got a little nugget in this jar, and we should have no problem hearing it. Okay, it's all going to the right. I'm right next to that piece of tin. But if I could point the camera down, which I'm going to do right now and show you something. Okay, we're still in shallow discriminate here. I still give it a quick pump. There's our, I got to turn the machine on. I guess that qualifies a mini blooper. Okay, again, I hold it to the side when I turn it on. Okay, electromagnetic interference is gone. We're in auto 1 and we're in shallow discriminate. Okay, that nugget's very small, about the size of a flat grain of rice. We're able to hear it, but listen now, I'm going to go into deep. Same settings, ground balance. Now listen. I'm able to hear that same target, probably almost 2 inches deeper. Okay, now we're going to go up into auto 2, which is unstable here. You really couldn't hunt with it. About the same, maybe a little bit deeper. All right, I put the camera down here for this part. Okay, back to turning the machine on. Okay, we're going to show you the difference in depth here in the different settings. We got a lot of trash right here, so we don't have any here. Okay, I'm in auto 2 right now. And as I try to balance this machine, it's not keeping a steady balance. Some trash right there. But the thing is, I'm able to hear that target easily at 3 or 4 inches. Okay, now we're going to back off into auto 1, rebalance. It's balanced pretty well, except for that there's a piece of trash right here. And we're in deep. I'm able to hear this little bitty nugget, which I'll show to you in a minute. About the same depth as auto 2, maybe a hair shallower. But it's a nice solid target, okay? Now we're going to go back into manual at 10 clicks. It's trying to hold a balance here, but it's still a little bit out. Not a whole lot of difference at this one particular area than in the auto 1 setting. That's why I like that auto 1 setting if I can use it. This is the hottest manual setting on the machine. Now we're going to back off to 8 clicks where it was able to hold a good balance. And yes, you have to balance the machine whether you're in auto or in manual. We're in manual 8 right now. Get the machine balanced. Okay. Notice something? I've lost some depth already. Now you got to find areas where you can't hunt in these higher settings, and that's just the way it is. You got to hunt with what you got. But I've lost probably a good inch of depth now by being in manual 8 as opposed to auto 1. Alright, now if I go back again, we're going to go back to 6 clicks. In some places I know of around here we can't hunt in anything but 6. But listen how stable it is. And here's the trash targets. But as far as the ground goes, the machine's just totally stable. Okay, it's too stable for my liking. This is too much of the backing off of the sensitivity. It should be higher. And watch this. All that sweet depth I had, I've lost it. I'm almost right on this little nugget jar before I can hear that nugget real well. I lose it right there. I'm going to pop it back up. Auto 1. Balance again. See the difference? I mean, when we metal detect, we're talking in inches here. And I've gained 2 inches of depth just by changing settings here and having the proper setting for the ground. Now, if this ground was so hot that you couldn't hunt in anything but 6, you're still not losing anything, are you? Because you couldn't hunt otherwise. All right? But the main thing I'm trying to get across to people is all these settings matter. And we're going to go into shallow again here now. Now we're in discriminate. Okay? There's really no ground balance to do because it does it itself. We're going to go over here. All those trash targets are gone. Okay, just told me that big piece of tin's right under the ground right there. But I've lost a lot of depth. And that's why generally I don't ever use that setting unless I'm in an area where I absolutely have to cherry pick. There's no other way to hunt around all the hot rocks and stuff. I will switch into that shallow setting. But the deep setting, look at that. Okay, I'm hearing that nugget right now at close to 5 inches. I'm in auto 1 and in deep. Okay, I'm going to show you this nugget now. And this is what we've been sampling with here. It's a real thin, flat little piece. It's bigger than the one I thought was in the jar, which proves my point even more. Okay. Excuse me. And you saw the differences now in the different settings, and that's really important. Okay, I've also been asked about the tape. The tape is on here to keep black sand and other crap out. And you'll find as you detect, I don't know what it is, because technically you're not creating a magnetic field, but for some reason this draws in magnetic material. And you get enough of it in here, and it slides around between the coil and the coil cover, it'll drive you nuts trying to get a good ground balance to keep the machine stable. Back in the old days, we used to mess with each other and put a diamond between the coil cover and the coil, and the guy tried to get his machine stable and it just wouldn't work. And there's another thing about these sensitive gold machines. I get asked about why it hears your hand. No ring, no nothing. All right, it's hearing the minerals in my skin and in my hand. The salts and the other minerals that are in my skin. Gold detectors are very sensitive. And it can hear that at a couple inches. So that's why we use a plastic scoop when we're IDing targets and getting them out of the ground. I hope this helps some of you guys, and I'll keep doing these until everybody gets it 100%. And keep your questions coming because they're important questions. And this little segment right here should pretty much show you that you do need to ground balance in either manual or auto. If you're in shallow discriminate, you may not have to ground balance near as much, but you're going to lose depth and sensitivity. And in deep mode, you got the most sensitivity and the most depth. And the hottest settings are going to be 10 clicks if you can run it. And between 6 and 8 clicks, you end up at a lot of places here too. I know in Australia it's tough and some other places. And if you can hunt in the auto 1, I recommend you do that, especially if you're new to this machine, because it's a lot more forgiving. It'll run a lot smoother in a lot of cases. And for now, on the Gold Monster, Nugget Shooter out.